So next I'm covering the first Star Wars game I did, all the way back in May 2018. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, the PS2 and Xbox version. I did play this a little before the film itself came out, but the Episode 3 game I played most was a DS game. This copy my grandmother had lying around forgotten about for nearly 10 years before she found it and just gave it to me. As has been the case with games like these, since it uses the score from the films, I'll just be playing whatever other video game music I think fits and avoid using the film clips included as cutscenes. So, Star Wars. Normally for a licensed game I'll go into my history of the franchise, but I don't feel like it and I'll tell you why instead. I'll make this as quick as I can. I like them. All of them. The original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, Rogue One. Of course I like some more than others and I don't think any are flawless. And the fact that me simply saying that I like them all will have certain people genuinely angry brings me so much fucking joy. Haven't seen anything else yet like Clone Wars, Solo or The Mandalorian because of these people. You know who I'm talking about. The ones who make even thinking about Star Wars incredibly tedious because you think of them instead. I can't be the only person by now who feels this way when most people talk about Star Wars, can I? I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck about your opinions on Star Wars. None of you boring bastards have anything new or interesting to say for the last 20 years. You'd think regardless of quality, new films would widen the range of acceptable discussion, but if anything that's shrunk too. I don't need 30 more self-proclaimed film experts clogging my recommendations with their copy-pasted Last Jedi and now Rise of Skywalker videos. I don't need to have a regular discussion with a fucking reasonable person about Star Wars, only for one of these fuckers to slide in from off screen with their, well, actually, and repeat the same tired shit we've all been hearing the last 2 decades as if they were telling some until now undiscovered truth, and now the conversation you were having and enjoying before then is dead. Of course I should add a disclaimer saying that I'm talking about a specific type of person only before someone comes in with, but I'm not like that. Chances are you aren't, but you've probably encountered someone like that or had to deal with them a lot. If you haven't, then you either stay away from this mess and you're a genuinely happy person, or you might just be who I'm talking about after all. Yes, people have their own tastes and opinions and that should be fine, and I do not want to push some bullshit true fan likes everything no question bollocks, but some of you fuckers have no idea how tedious you can be. And this is coming from the boring bastard with a 2-hour-long video complaining about a nearly 40-year-old Japanese children's comic. People should be allowed to talk about things they like without someone barging in with, "Here is link to Plinkett, you do not deviate from Plinkett." So fuck it, here's my rapid fire unpopular Star Wars opinions. Return of the Jedi is my favourite, Empire is my least favourite of the original trilogy, and the only films I rank below it are Attack of the Clones and Rise of Skywalker. Jar Jar is far from being the worst thing to happen to cinema. Bullying actors is bad even if they were in a film you don't like, somehow that's unpopular. Disliking certain films is not an acceptable basis for your entire personality. Anakin's opinions on sand are by far the most relatable thing in the entire series, fuck sand. I'd rather sit through Canto Bite than Hoth. Han never shot, Greedo's one and only shot bounced off the wall and he fried himself. Finally, Victory Celebration is far better than Yub Nub, go fuck yourselves. And that was just aimed at the seeming regular ass people who don't realise how repetitive they can be. There is a certain other group that's cropped up in the last decade because of certain things in the sequels that actual humans don't give a second thought. I don't even have to go into more detail because you know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't waste a time of day thinking about those utter cunts, they don't deserve the breath they waste, and I only bring them up to let them know they aren't welcome here. I will be kind and say that I do feel bad for those of you who hate The Last Jedi for reasons unrelated to the reasons those people do. No one should have their film taste define others' perception of them as people, and no one deserves to have their film tastes co-opted by cunts. This and LEGO Star Wars were recorded before I felt that burnout. If I started working on this show even 2 months later, I wouldn't have had the will to do them. But now I've either pissed everyone off or made them miserable, let's talk about the game. The title screen puts you right into the opening crawl if you don't have a save. The first level is Rescue over Coruscant. I'm playing as Anakin Skywalker on the Separatist flagship to save Chancellor Palpatine. I start off being attacked by battle droids while the game explains the controls. I have light and heavy attacks that can be used in different auras for different combos. Of course right now, Obi-Wan is getting to most of them before I can. I can also use the Force to push enemies and objects. After a few kills, the super battle droids turn up. This is where the game tells me how to block, and I also find my first health restoring item, which is a Bacta tank. Of course Obi-Wan kills everything first. I then have to wait for R2-D2 to open a catwalk and defend him from more droids. As I'm killing enemies, I'm ranked for each kill, as I was back in the 2 towers. Depending on how much the bar surrounding my character's icon is filled, this fills out the experience bar at the bottom, the higher the rating, the more it fills. R2 opens a catwalk and I cross to the other side. I kill my way to the right until I'm blocked by wreckage. There's a marker on the floor for me to use the Force and help Obi-Wan shift it. I head forward and to the right some more, killing the droids on the way. I then cross another catwalk and leave R2 to remove a shield. There's a lockout protocol on it, but a shut off in a nearby landing grid so Anakin jumps down after it. The control console is pointed out but I get surrounded by battle droids. Behind one of the pillars I find one of 3 secrets, Force boost that fills my Force meter. Once they're dead I use the console and allow R2 to get to work. However, he and Obi-Wan end up under fire while I have to deal with some super battle droids. Once they're gone, a marker appears to let me Force jump up and help Obi-Wan. That also involves using the force jump to reach some snipers. In one corner I find a secret saber crystal that automatically fills out my bar so when I'm getting automatic masterful kills for a bit. R2 lowers a shield which allows Anakin and Obi-Wan to move on while R2 stays behind. This ends the level. After finishing a level, my kills are totted up and the experience bar fills. Each level has a set amount of experience that can be earned, ending when the bar is filled, so I have to come back later and replay the level for the rest of it. I also missed a secret. I can spend my experience to level up my skills. I decided to use my experience on dash attacks but just don't have enough to fill out the bar yet. Mission 2 is an explosive development. For this level I play as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan and Anakin get surrounded by droids and stuck between shields, so they cut through the floor, and 2 super battle droids follow. This is where the game tells you how to grapple using both attack buttons at once. This stuns the droids enough to cut their limbs and then their heads off. A couple more then drop down. Another good way to stun them is to push them into electricity in the back. When they're both dealt with, we can move on to the right where some regular battle droids are after us, along with some grapple droids. I should say that there aren't really any differences between Obi-Wan and Anakin right now other than animation. Once I reach the other end, we're blocked off by more electricity, so I have to use a saber thrower to destroy the generator making it. I then have to cross another catwalk and repeat that action. After dealing with the next lot of droids, I use the console at the end to make another catwalk appear. All along this catwalk I have to use a saber thrower to destroy a load of generators to cross safely. The 2 will then narrowly make it through the closing door. The next room has a blaster turret above the door. By holding block I can deflect the blaster fire in the direction I point the right stick. Once the turret is destroyed, the door opens. In this next room I have to use the catwalk going up, but the first one directly to the right has a secret that increases my maximum force. That's the top blue bar. Reaching the end of the other catwalk I have more droids to take out. I then have to use the force to pull a bridge down from the ceiling for Anakin to cross. He'll then hold it so Obi-Wan can cross. After dealing with the droids there I have to use a saber plunge which lets me stick my lightsaber in a door and twist until it falls apart. I kill all the droids in here for a secret to fall from the ceiling onto me. This one increases Obi-Wan's maximum health. I then destroy this power conduit to open a door. This leads me to another door to destroy with the saber plunge. The first catwalk in the next room collapses so I need to force jump onto the next. This puts me in a cutscene where a buzz droid drops down. These are very easy to kill. I've been running across a few more catwalks taking more of them out. I destroy another generator and reach the door at the end. I have to use the force to open this one so the 2 can slip through. This next room has another turret to destroy with a terminal to use next to it, followed by another turret to destroy with another terminal next to it. The next room is yet more catwalks littered with droids, just the same battle droids, grapple droids and buzz droids as usual. On the way there is my third secret, another health increase, hidden behind some tanks. At the end is another terminal that opens a catwalk across more generators shooting electricity. So it's more saber throwing to the end where they jump out of here and get on their way. A bit of a dull level if I'm honest, just some repetitive corridors with a dull colour scheme. I missed one secret here. Beating this level unlocked 5 concept art images and a challenge mission, Cruise a Cargo Hold. More on those later. I put my experience into Obi-Wan's dash attacks to bring it to level 2, and then almost fill up his area attacks bar too. Mission 3 is Peril in the elevators, where I'm back to Anakin for the next few levels. This level starts with the droidicas outside the elevators. I have to use the force to stun these. Here's some deep lore for you. When I was 7 and watching Phantom Menace, I thought these were called droidicars because of the way Newt Gunray's buddy says it. I didn't question it because I was 7 and they rode like car wheels. When R2 brings the lift up, I have to use saber plunge to burn through the door. This one's a little different from the last as rather than twist I have to simply cut the door out. Once I'm in, buzz droids cut a hole through the ceiling and drop in. They get dealt with and Anakin jumps out on top to take on the droids. Once they're done, Anakin jumps over to the next one to take on some flying battle droids. They have their little shields to block with but are otherwise nothing special. Obi-Wan interrupts to nag me to hurry up as some grapple droids appear. His elevator then stops as some droidicas wait outside for him. Before I can help him I have to take out the grapple droids. You can either use the force or just regular attacks to knock them off the edges. Once I've killed enough, Anakin jams the lift using the remains of the grapple droid and has R2 open the door Obi-Wan left through so he can jump through after him. After taking out a destroyer and heading further down, a ray shield turns on behind me. I have to burn through a door on the right to enter a room filled with buzz droids. In here there's a secret hidden under a tank containing a maximum health increase. After that I just have to use the console to turn off the shields. A turret lowers in front of the door so I just have to take care of it before I leave. During all that I've left Obi-Wan to get his head kicked in by grapple droids. I take them out while Obi-Wan keeps nagging me to ignore them and head to the elevators. Anakin jumps on the one he was just on previously and Obi-Wan's extra weight unjams the grapple droid parts leading to it plummeting. While R2 deals with stopping it I have some more flying droids to deal with. R2 stops the elevator and sends it shooting up instead. I now have more flying droids to fight but at a slightly different camera angle. After a bit they get back inside the elevator just before it reaches the top. They then get out just as the mission ends. It's not that much shorter than mission 2 but it just felt a lot quicker. Being this unlocks 2 more concept art pieces. With my experience I can finally get Anakin's dash attacks to level 2, then do the same for his area attacks. The last of it almost fills his critical attacks bar. Mission 4 is settling the score. This is the fight against Count Dooku. Since Dooku has a similar moveset to me, I just have to block and know the correct time to punish him. You can also get in struggles where you have to mash the buttons to win out and get the hit in. Spamming doesn't work because he can simply grab you with the force and fling you. After taking about a fifth or sixth of his health, we get a cutscene covering the part where Dooku removes Obi-Wan from the fight. We're also now fighting up the stairs, which has less open space to move around safely, but it's also wider when simply going left to right. On the far left side there's a secret inside one of the computers that increases maximum force. After knocking him in the air and juggling him for a bit, we get another cutscene where the fight progresses to a new area where Dooku is backed up by some super battle droids. This is also where the game decides to tell me how to charge attacks by holding the heavy attack button just in time for Dooku to kill me with force lightning, followed by a force push. Also, Anakin has the funniest death scream. Next time I get back to the third phase with a little more health than last time. I like when you get in the struggle with two super battle droids firing lasers that pass right through you. Doesn't stop me dying from a kick in the face though. You can use the force to throw explosive tanks into his face, which is always good. If I knock a droid down to the centre to get a little cutscene, it makes the mission's other secret appear on the left side, a maximum health upgrade. These fully refill your health too, which is a massive help. I still lose 3/4 of it to endless force grabs and lightning. Once Dooku loses 3/4 of his own health, the fight moves back in front of Palpatine. Despite Dooku having complete control over this fight so far, he still looks afraid of me. That fear, predictably, is unfounded as he finishes me off, right as Palpatine is in the middle of telling me I have him on the run. Fourth time I get impaled in the third phase. On my fifth try I make it to the final phase with half my health. This time Dooku doesn't last long and Anakin impales him. I guess the decapitation would have bumped the edge rating up, and spoiled it in the film too, since the game was released like a week or two before the film. I unlock Count Dooku in the multiplayer mode along with the main chamber and upper balcony of the throne room as multiplayer stages. I use my experience to get critical attacks to level 2 and put the rest into force heal. Mission 5 is It's Not Over Yet, covering the escape from the ship. After the film footage we see Palpatine, Anakin and a hungover Obi-Wan emerge from one of the elevators. Anakin gets separated from the others by some ray shields, so Obi-Wan agrees he and Palpatine will find another way and meet Anakin at the other side. For now I'm just stuck between two shields fighting droids. After I kill them all, explosions from outside disable one of the shields. It doesn't remove the one after it, so once the droids are killed I have to go through a door next to the shield and cut the cables powering them. Past that shield is a turret, but rather than reflecting its fire, I can just throw a tank into it. Once past the droids I have to cut through the casing next to the ray shield on the right to cut the cable powering it. R2-D2 comes around the corner chased by super battle droids, but a hole gets blown in the ship and they get sucked into space. A shield comes on just in time to prevent the same happening to Anakin and R2. I now have to backtrack left, where the shield there is now gone and leads to a wrecked corridor. There's a secret in a crate here, a saber crystal to fill my kill bar. Take out another turret and hang by the next shield, taking out droids while I can still get those masterful kills. Once it runs out I cut open the door to the left for a second secret, maximum force upgrade. Then it's cutting the casing next to the shield and then the cable. There's another shield with an open door next to it. The room is filled with electricity, so I have to saber throw the cables in the back to drop the shield. The next shield has no cables and on the other side is Obi-Wan. R2 gets to work trying to remove it while I simply have to protect him from a turret and some droids. It doesn't take long before the shield is down, I'm reunited with Obi-Wan and I finish off the rest of the droids. We get stopped by yet another ray shield that R2 gets straight to work on. They get a call from a pilot under heavy fire. Luckily we're next to the gun barrier. I kill all the droids inside, cut a door open in the top left corner for a third secret and maximum health increase, then jump in a turret. This puts me in the first person section where I have to shoot down the big Trade Federation ship. It's just 3 segments and it doesn't take long to bring down. They then head back to R2 just in time to get trapped in more ray shields in the film itself. I actually completely fill out the experience bar for this level thanks to those masterfuls I got. Plus I found all 3 secrets so I don't have to replay this level later. I unlock 3 concept art images, upgrade Anakin's force heal to level 2, upgrade his grabs to level 2 for more combos, then put the leftover in jump attacks. Mission 6 is the General's right hand. After being brought to General Grievous and breaking free, I have to fight his bodyguards while Grievous just hangs around the outside and watches. First thing I do is head into the doorway and destroy the computers. The one on the right has a secret max force increase. The bodyguards have all their spins and flips, but it's like the grapple droids, block and punish. After I kill the second one, its upper body still manages to claw its way to me for one last attack. One more crawls in along the ceiling but doesn't get to do much of anything before it's cut in half. Another one strolls in from the bottom of the screen and lasts quite a bit longer, actually thinking to dodge and fight back. After taking out 4 of them, the ship starts going down. This leads to me fighting grapple droids on top of the windows, then followed by a couple more of Grievous's bodyguards. The shockwave from a nearby explosion turns the ship again, but Grievous and some more of his hundreds of bodyguards survived, along with a few grapple droids. On the right I destroy another computer for this level's other secret and max health increase. All that's left is kill the rest of the droids while Grievous shouts empty threats from off screen. The ship begins to right itself as I get put back into film footage. That's a quick one. Being this mission unlocks 4 pieces of concept art and the Cruiser Corridors challenge mission. I use my experience to get Anakin's jump attacks to level 2 and put the tiny bit left over into force push. Mission 7 has me back to playing as Obi-Wan in investigating Utapau. After the film footage of Obi-Wan flying to the planet, he's next seen climbing up the side of this building. He decides the best method of stealth is to switch on his loud glowy weapon. I make it to the second battle droid before everyone suddenly becomes aware of me at the same time and tries to rush me. I take the first left to a door blocked off with a ray shield, but throwing my lightsaber into the cable next to it gets rid of that and lets me find the first secret, a maximum force upgrade. I then reach the end of the catwalk where I have to deal with a turret. When it's gone, an upgraded grapple droid climbs in over the railing. I assume it's upgraded, I killed it before I had the chance to do anything. 2 more show up and also spend most of their time blocking and barely fighting back. And then 1 more comes through the open door. When that one is killed, I go through the door to another catwalk that looks almost exactly like the first one. It is kind enough to give me a couple tanks so I can make a group of droids eat shit. One also jumps the gun by declaring me killed after punching me once. At the end I force jump up to a higher catwalk where the buzz droids make their return. I then use a terminal to bring down a lift with some droids waiting for me. This lets me cross another catwalk where progress is blocked by a vent spewing fire. I cut the cable to keep moving forward. At the other end is a terminal that turns on another lift next to the previous terminal. I can then force jump across to another lift. There's more vents, but first I have some flying droids to deal with. Then I just have the time running across the first 2 vents, then cut a cable to shut the rest off. I destroy the next turret before Obi-Wan can even finish telling me to destroy it, and when the rest of the droids are taken out, I cut through the door in the back. More grapple droids and super battle droids. In the middle of the back wall I can cut through to find my next secret, a maximum health upgrade. Then I'm cutting through another door to more catwalks, but these ones get shot down by a big cannon. I can't fight, so I just have to hide behind cover. The game now tells me I can use force speed by double tapping in the direction I want to move. It's simple enough and I go around the corner out of the cannon's range. Before going around the next corner, I make sure to cut this cable operating a ray shield to find a large Bacta tank for that full heal. Around the next corner is another cannon I have to force speed around, then force jump to a high level only for the cannons to follow me up. So I'm just doing more force speed and jumping back to the other side with the first cannon. And it's at this point watching this back that I'm getting really tired of the Star Wars musical score in the game. I understand the appeal of sticking the actual soundtrack from the films into the games, but when every game does it, you tend to hear the same tracks over and over again. Not all of them were built to be looped in a video game. Those of you who spent any amount of time in the Jawa Sandcrawler in LEGO Star Wars 2 know exactly what I'm thinking of with that comment. I mean, my favourite bits of Star Wars music are the bit that plays when Luke finally fights back at Vader in Return of the Jedi, which is like a minute or so long, and Victory Celebration, which I'm only bringing up to remind people again that it's better than Yub Nub. I use a terminal that allows me to reach the second cannon and use it to destroy the shield generators. During this I also get some free kills for some more experience. Once the shield is down I go through the door behind it. Obi-Wan jumps down and prepares to go back into stealth mode, but a crab droid climbs up from below. It makes Obi-Wan back up a little, which triggers the line he says if he's near a secret, but instead it just looks like he's saying the crab droid is force sensitive. I bring this up because thanks to the timing of this line, I miss a secret because I didn't think to look for one. To damage the crab droid I have to use a grab when its guard is down to climb on top and hack away. I just repeat this very quickly until it's dead. It's a much easier boss than Dooku. Once it's down, Obi-Wan then jumps up into the rafters and gets back to sneaking. It was nice, 7 levels in, to finally get a change of scenery. Those dull greys and blues from the ship don't exactly come across so good on a licensed PS2 game. I use my experience to get Obi-Wan's area attacks to level 2, followed by his critical attacks and his force heal, the leftovers going to jump attacks. Mission 8 is The Cavalry Arrives. This starts with the footage of Obi-Wan dropping on General Grievous with everyone's favourite line, "Everybody is good," but film footage so I can't show it. This is like Mission 6, an enclosed space with a load of enemies. I start with a couple more of Grievous's bodyguards with constant battle drive backup, with some explosive stuff like tanks I can throw around too, and some generators I can blow up in my own stupid face. After I've killed enough bodyguards, Obi-Wan gets bored and jumps up to the next floor. There's a load of droids coming for him, but his clone army drops in and takes a load of them out for me. Now I'm in another enclosed space with battle droids and grapple droids. Clone troopers will constantly drop in, but they keep getting killed by a single deck to the face from a grapple droid. Destroying the computer at the top of this area spawns a secret, a saber crystal. This gets me quite the experience boost. This is a point where I have to use the force heal to survive. As you can guess, it drains your force bar very quickly to slowly refill your health. After a few more minutes I get another cutscene. Obi-Wan calls Commander Cody to have him track Grievous, but he's under fire. My next objective is to take out the cannons firing on him. 2 points of force jump will appear on the floor. I start with the one on the left, use the terminal to turn off the shield and destroy the generator powering the left cannon. Before dealing with the right cannon, I realise that I'm not actually under a time limit for this and the droids are infinitely spawning, so I take some time to get more experience before I jump up and shut off the other cannon. When I drop down, the droids will activate emergency shields that block off the clone reinforcements, so Obi-Wan jumps down to a new floor to shut them off. Unfortunately, there's some bodyguards waiting for him. One thing I haven't brought up is that the bodyguards are a lot more chatty than in the film, in that they talk at all. They talk like Cybermen from Doctor Who about their superiority of the flesh and all that. In the bottom right corner I can destroy a computer for another secret, more maximum health. After the bodyguards are dead, other droids will still keep coming, so before I destroy those shield generators, I fully fill up the experience bar. Destroying the generators opens a door to another room and reveals 2 turrets. Taking out the turret spawns a marker so I can use the force to wipe out the rest of the generators. Still not done yet because another crab droid shows up. This one's a little harder thanks to blaster fire from battle droids. You can tell I slept between levels though because I already forgotten how I killed the last one. Here I'm just going full brute force, no strategy, whack it till it dies. Takes forever. As soon as it's done, Obi-Wan gets a call from Cody saying they found Grievous and hops on a ship to chase him. While I filled the experience bar, I didn't get all the secrets, so I'll still have to repeat this level later. I got 2 pieces of concept art and the General's Protector's challenge mission. The experience gets me Obi-Wan's jump attacks level 2, grapples level 2 and force grasp level 2. The remaining points go to saber throw. Mission 9 is Showdown with Grievous. Despite Obi-Wan being seen jumping on a ship at the end of the last level, the film footage has him on that lizard thing I can't remember the name of with no explanation. Considering I played this before the film was out, my ass was confused. This is like the Count Dooku boss fight, a one-on-one duel where I have to play smart, dodge, block and take the chances I can get to punish Grievous. However, everything after the word smart was lost on me and I got massacred before I could even take a tenth of this health. I do better next time. Taking a fifth of this health has the fight progress to a platform lower down. I first start by throwing any objects I can pick up at him so I can do as much damage as I can before having to get close to him. Grievous doesn't just use his lightsabers, he'll also pull out a blaster and shoot you. I guess this is to make up for his lack of force abilities. I do quite a bit better here and take about a half of his health. A burning fighter crashes nearby and Grievous takes a chance to run off into a cave. Now I have less space to work with, so I'll be in Grievous's range more often. I can smash the rocks on the right for a secret that increases my maximum force. For some reason Grievous is also an accomplished pro wrestler if he grabs you. Get Grievous to his last fifth of health and he'll kick Obi-Wan in the face and runs out of the cave. He'll also leave behind a bomb to blow up the cave. As he's about to board his ship and escape, Obi-Wan turns up completely fine. This is where Grievous decides to use 4 lightsabers. Before he can even do anything, I have a tank exploding against the back of his head. Like this, Grievous will crouch down and begin charging some kind of attack, but it's not like I'll give him the chance to use it. He'll also spin all the lightsabers around his body, which does huge damage. The attack he's charging turns out to be a literal charge, and if you interrupt it after he starts, he'll go skidding miles. Sadly, I get really close, but he finished me off, impaling me on all 4. On repeat, I do find the other secret I missed. In the second phase, there's the object furthest on the right that hides a health upgrade. This time I get to the final phase with more health, but repeated spinning attacks take away that advantage. But I do it, I finish off Grievous with a kick and Obi-Wan kills him with a stab through the heart. Since he was a fair kill, I only fill half the experience bar. I unlock a lot for this. 1 piece of concept art, General Grievous in multiplayer, 2 of the arenas from this mission in multiplayer and the challenge mission Grievous on the run. My experience goes into saber throw, getting it to level 2, with leftovers going to force stun. We check back in on Anakin for mission 10, the dark side of the force. Anakin's subplot with Palpatine happened while I was doing those Obi-Wan levels and we're already at the part where Mace Windu is about to finish Palpatine off. Except in the game, Anakin clashes his lightsaber with Windu's instead of chopping his arm off. Anakin goes on about how killing him would go against Jedi beliefs and then starts force throwing Windu all over the place. Having learned how to truly win a fight, I start by throwing all the furniture at Windu. Windu likes to use a mind trick to make me dizzy before throwing out a combo on me. After doing enough damage, phase 2 has the window break open and Windu trying to talk some sense into Anakin before Anakin just kicks him out and follows him. Here we have a lot more space to fight, but as usual, first thing is throw everything I can at him, and even one into my own face at one point. I almost die when Windu combos most of my health away, but I manage to run away and heal just a bit and get some more hits in to move on to the next phase. Anakin doesn't like it when Windu spells out that he fucked up and goes for the kill, but Windu escapes lower down. I don't last long in this phase and he impales me. I make it back to that phase with more health next time. Another thing to note is that Windu can also use force heal himself. He kills me again. Next time I die in the second phase, Windu kills Anakin in a way that leaves him bouncing into the distance, forever. Then I die in the third again. Next time I make it past this phase, Anakin knocks Windu down but they both notice Palpatine watching them through the window. Windu knocks Anakin over and jumps up after Palpatine, but Anakin gets back up before he can try anything. I manage to trap him in the corner and get him so close to death, but get a kick in the face that kills me. Next time I get a secret, another health upgrade by destroying all the objects in the room during the final phase. This is a huge help as the health refill allows me to be more aggressive with Windu and finish him. Despite Anakin constantly saying murder is not the Jedi way during this mission, he deliberately stabs Windu in as stylish a way he can and kicks him out the window to his death. And the game still has the balls to play the what have I done footage. Like, this isn't a bad split-second decision in the moment with horrible consequences, that was deliberate murder. Once again, only half the experience bar is filled since it was a fair kill and I also missed a secret. I unlocked 2 pieces of concept art, Mace Windu in multiplayer and 2 arenas from this mission in multiplayer. I get Anakin's force push to level 2 and put the rest into force lightning. He also has a new picture here now he's gone off to dark side. Mission 11, The Hunt Begins. This one covers the attack on the Jedi Temple, starting with the archives. Anakin wants control of the signal, but everyone's favourite character, oh I remember her from Attack of the Clones, pulls out her lightsaber to stop him. This gets her impaled. All the other Jedi in here drop down to try and stop Anakin. So if you really want a game where you get to murder a group of 14 to 15 year olds, you've got it. I've also got Force Lightning now. Not something Anakin has ever seen doing in the films, but I don't mind. Once the load are killed, one Padawan runs off and seals off the doors with some ray shields. I then start smashing up every part of the archives I can looking for secrets. While doing this I find a maximum force increase in the far right corner. Once I'm done, I force jump up to the next level, straight up impale a teenager through the neck. As a 12-year-old playing this first, I was a little disappointed we didn't see this level in the film itself. But as someone with only slightly better taste than back then, yeah, that would have just been way too gratuitous. That scene with a little kid who's too young to act, and his little flinch when Anakin turns on his lightsaber is so much more effective. Once all the backup is wiped out, I cut through the wall to cut the cables keeping the shield up, kill the Jedi who turned it on, and mess with the terminal to get rid of the shield over the exit. Got some more Padawans to kill, and then Anakin blows the door off. In the next room I meet a new kind of Jedi, one that's more acrobatic and fights with a reverse grip. He doesn't last. A few more drop in. Apparently that reverse grip makes them Jedi snipers. Off to the left is the next secret, a health upgrade. My next act is to use the Force to lift up the statue in the back, take a segment and throw it through the big door to open it. The room the door leads to has me do some more murder. There's a shielded door on the other side of the room, so I have to cut through another door where I'm stopped by a big guy wielding a double-sided lightsaber. The first Jedi brute doesn't get to do anything before I kill him, and the second is content to simply throw headbutts at me instead. He gets a good air combo in. The next room has a terminal I'm after, but it's protected by 2 turrets. I take them out and use a terminal to unlock the door. There's some more Jedi on the way back, but they're nothing special. Cut through the door leading outside. I can take out the Jedi here by knocking them over the edge. There's turrets too, but Saber Throw deals with them. Destroying both will spawn another secret, a Saber Crystal. Once I reach the end, some clones drop in and blow up the door where there are a couple of brutes waiting for me. Killing them has a turret drop down and 2 more brutes show up from behind. After they're killed, Anakin moves on to the hangar. I start by taking out the few Jedi at the beginning, and then next to the entrance is a box with 1 more secret, a maximum health increase. My next objective is to hijack a cannon and shoot down all the Jedi starfighters that show up. Don't let the cannon overheat from continuous fire or it's a long wait before you can fire again. Shooting the starfighters fills up the kill bar quick so I can get quite a lot of experience here. After a bit of shooting, the mission ends with a clone telling Anakin they've reached the control room. It's there that Anakin sends out the signal for all Jedi to return to the temple so they can be ambushed and killed. A clone tells Anakin another Jedi has penetrated their defences. Anakin can sense that it's Sindralig. I got so close to filling the experience bar, and also missed a single secret. Beating the mission unlocks 7 pieces of concept art and the challenge mission for Jedi Strike Back. I upgrade Force Lightning to level 2, then Saber Throw and Force Grasp. What's left over goes into dash attacks. Mission 12, the final lesson. Anakin goes to check it out and finds Sarah Keto, a character created for this game. First thing I do is kick her into electricity. This isn't too different than the other dual boss fights we've had. The main difference is that she doesn't have lightning or a gun, just the usual Force stuff like pushers. And either I've got better or she doesn't fight as aggressively as Dooku or Grievous. Take away half of their health and she creates a distraction to run away. Anakin follows her to a room with a few holograms, presumably footage of other Jedi struggling with Order 66. Destroying all 3 holograms spawns the first secret, a Saber Crystal in the middle of the room. Luckily for me, I trap Sarah in the corner and take out the rest of her health before it runs out for that masterful kill. The fight continues into the next room but ends when Anakin crushes Sarah under a pillar, just in time for Sindralig to show up. This is why Sarah is easier than Dooku and Grievous. I have 2 back-to-back duels in this one mission. This new arena provides me plenty of shit to throw in his face to minimise the amount of time I have to spend up close. When everything in this room is destroyed, the second secret, a health upgrade, appears in the centre. I really needed this one too for the refill. He's a little tougher than Sarah, but not too much. When reduced to half health, Dralig will throw Anakin out the window and the fight progresses there. At this point he spends most of his time blocking and trying for force healing, only for me to interrupt it. When he loses his health he manages to kick Anakin over, but as he runs in to finish it, Anakin throws his lightsaber through him and just lets it hang in there a little bit before he pulls it out and lets Dralig's body fall. My 1 impressive and 1 masterful kill fills the experience bar completely, and I found both secrets so I don't have to replay this mission. I unlock 6 pieces of concept art, Sindralig and Sarah Keto in multiplayer, and 2 more multiplayer stages. Dash attacks and jump attacks reach level 3, and I almost filled the bar on grapples. Mission 13 takes me back to Obi-Wan with Attack of the Clones. Order 66 is kicked off while Obi-Wan is still dealing with some droids in Utapau. He tells some clones to head up to the next level, but they tell him they don't follow his orders anymore and begin firing at him. I like how the random quips programmed in contradict each other. I get Obi-Wan telling the clones to fight their programming and then seconds later mocking them over not being able to kill him. After spending some time wiping out the clones, I use a console to turn off the ray shield so I can get inside. But now I have droids to deal with. I just throw a load of tanks into them. I cut through a wall panel to open up the big door. This room has me fighting clones and droids at the same time. The door at the end of this room is blown open by clones riding walkers. These will attack by either shooting or charging at me. I've just got to block and keep whacking the legs to bring it down. These still take a while though. I go through the door they blew open to find the path forward is blocked by wreckage, but it's okay because the clones blow that up too. It's here I fight my first clone blaze troopers. They're bigger, they fly a little, they punch, and they are flamethrowers. They're also quite easy to kill. While fighting I also picked up a secret health upgrade along the right wall. After killing them all, a marker appears to allow me to use the force to clear some debris. Behind it is another clone in a walker. When he's killed I have to force jump higher up. I take out the blaze troopers waiting for me and cut through the door nearby. A clone spots me immediately and has clones with missile launchers aim at me from a distance. There's also a droid to deal with on the bridge I'm on. I just have to run across to the other side, cut through a wall panel, turn off the ray shield by the entrance and cross back to the other side. It's not that easy though, as the clones manage to make it over to my side. Once they're dealt with, I use the console to open the door on the other side. This next room is filled with turrets, droidekas and cables to cut. After taking most of these out, I blow up a barrel in my own face in the right corner for a secret max force upgrade. Cutting all the cables gives me access to the terminal that opens the door on the right. The bridge it leads to gets a chunk blown out of it by a clone gunship. First things first, when it comes to a boss, get throwing every forcible object at it. While I'm doing this, there are clone troopers on the bridge too. The gunship doesn't just have regular laser fire, it shoots missiles too. Once I run out of tanks, I get saber throwing, but a hit away from killing it, I get killed myself. Thankfully, I'm tech pointed out the gunship. I just barely take it out next time. When it lands in flames, Obi-Wan uses it to jump the gap in the bridge. Right away there's a turret, which is a problem when I have so little health left. I am back in the corner slowly waiting for my force to refill so I can use it up on force heal. Then I take out the turret and the tank in the top left corner for my next secret, a saber crystal. I cut through the door at the end and end up in a room blocked off by a ray shield and a couple droidekas. I cut through the wall panel to get rid of the shield and take out the droids and clones fighting behind it. From here, Obi-Wan's only option is to drop down onto a moving tank and take out the cannons on top. I make sure to hang around for a bit first, killing clones for experience. Once they stop showing up, I take out the second cannon. Obi-Wan then jumps off the tank and runs to his ship to escape the planet. Once again, I just barely failed to completely fill the experience bar. I also missed a secret. I unlock 8 pieces of concept art and use my experience to bring force stun and force push to level 2, and then end up very close to leveling critical attacks again. Back to Anakin for mission 14, Assassination on Mustafa. After arriving at Mustafa, the separatists outside point Anakin in the direction of their leaders. Anakin tells them he has a message from Darth Sidious, which turns out to be their execution. I bet he were working on that one the whole journey there thinking he was so witty. In this version of events, Nute Gunray and Rune Harko, so that's his name, I'm gonna forget after this video's done, no offense to all his fans, are watching this and get to find out they've been betrayed earlier than in the film. They send security after Anakin while Poggle the Lesser, I've actually always remembered his name for some reason, assures them that they're safe where they are. Somehow these Nemoidian guards think their little stun rods will stop me. While I'm killing them, I'm already finding my first secret in a barrel, a maximum force increase. I use the force to shift the platform blocking my progress and take out the guards behind it before cutting open the door leading inside. Next corridor is just more Nemoidians and droids, nothing special, and I use a terminal to open the door at the end. Who made the big guy wear really thick armour on the lava planet? That's not fair. I'm only really killing him to put him out of his misery. This part was a complete accident though. A few more enemies show up and I kill them too before I force jump onto another bridge. More reinforcements show up and I deal with those too. I enter the door that closes behind me, clear out the corridor and cut open the next door. This leads to another bridge with the same enemies, including some floating around in the background on platforms. At the other end is some droids and turrets on another bridge. I have to take them all out first before I'm allowed to force jump over to it. I head inside and use the console to move the magma gun blocking my progress on the previous bridge. When I head back and continue, a couple of dickheads with guns shoot down another magma gun to block my path again. I kill them and jump across again. I take out the droids, guards and turret, jump across the other side of the gun, take out the droidekas there and fight my way to the far left end of the bridge. I jump across the gap again and head back inside to cut open a door. I clear out yet another corridor to make a door open and more brutes come out. Through that door are the cables to cut to get rid of the force field at the right end. There are 3 crates at the beginning of the next bridge, one of them having a secret saber crystal. Crossing the bridge after gets me a lot of experience. I cut 2 cables to open a door leading to a single brute that doesn't last long. I use the terminal to open the next door, then another to create a bridge to the next platform. To move on I have to saber throw a cable in the back to reveal a terminal that makes the platform rise. More guards and brutes to deal with. With everything killed, Anakin tears open the ceiling and jumps to an even higher level. I head back into the doorway Anakin leaves through and find a secret health increase. More Nemoidians and droidekas, followed by Anakin reaching the separatist leaders. He cuts open the door and crushes Poggle the Lesser with it. The other leaders escape into another room while this one fills with guards. Kill them all and Anakin tears open the door to the leaders. Nute Gunray takes a chance to run off, locking the door behind him and leaving the others to Anakin. What follows is chasing the defenseless leaders around and slaughtering them. In this version it's Star Wars royalty Rune Harko who gets Gunray's moment of begging for mercy and being killed anyway. Gunray escapes into his own gunship and instead of trying to escape, he tries to kill Anakin himself with missiles and lasers. Of course I get to throwing everything at his ship and then my lightsaber when I run out. However, I'm bad at dodging and die when I fling myself into his laser. The next attempt starts off better and I don't miss as many throws at the beginning. 2/3 of his health goes before I have to resort to saber throw and force lightning, but I still die again because I keep trying to brute force it. 3rd time was pathetic, I barely do any damage. 4th time Gunray predicts my dodge and lifts his laser into me for the death blow. On my 6th try I get into a hit from death before he kills me. This happens quite a few times. It's not until my, I shit you not, 13th attempt that I finally bring Gunray's ship down and watch it fall into the lava and explode. Anakin walks off and the mission abruptly ends. I almost managed to fill the experience bar but I miss a tiny bit and 2 secrets. I unlock 11 pieces of concept art and the Mustafa Lava Challenge mission. My experience gets grapples, area attacks, critical attacks and force heal to level 3, the rest goes into force lightning. Mission 15, Aftermath in the Temple, goes back to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan and Yoda go to the Jedi Temple to get rid of the signal luring the other Jedi back. And like 2 minutes into the fight, Yoda finally realises that the clones know they're there. Oh, and there's this.
I preferred it when the clones were our allies.
I preferred it when everyone I knew wasn't dead, leaving me as the last of 2 non-living members of my group currently hunted down by those 2 hours ago I was fighting side by side with, am I right? I sure wish I wasn't surrounded by the bodies of murdered children, know what I'm saying? So I jump up to a high level and keep fighting on. Once the clones are killed, some more actually help me out by blowing up a random pillar that gives me a bridge to cross. Had they not done that, I'd have been fucked. I cross the new bridge and the first thing I destroy gets me a secret saber crystal. Good timing since I get swamped with regular clone troopers and blaze troopers, so that's a good experience boost. When every clone is killed, Obi-Wan and Yoda decide to split up to divide the clones' attention. Obi-Wan then jumps over the ceiling to another room. Once again I just have to kill the waves of clones. Once they're all dead, an icon appears to let me force jump to another section where we reunite with Yoda. I find another secret saber crystal in the top left corner, finding the next set of clones. After them I have to help Yoda shift some more debris. The very first barrel after this contains my next secret, the health increase. I go around the corner, take out a couple turrets and cut the door open to reach the archive. They find I remember her from Attack of the Clones' body, while Obi-Wan and Yoda wonder what caused this to happen. My next objective is a bit more mundane. I have to defeat library security. I've got to help Yoda get out of paying his late fees. Imagine what someone with his lifespan could rack up. Killing them allows me to jump to a high level. On the left side of this floor I cut open a panel to shut off a ray shield covering a door at the other end of the floor. Obi-Wan indicates a secret is nearby but I can't find it, so I just cut open the door and keep going. Yet more clones to deal with, and at the other end of this corridor I find another secret health increase. At this end is a cannon I must use to shoot down clone gunships. Take a few out and Obi-Wan runs deeper into the temple. He gets stopped by a new enemy type, clone assassins. They fight with wrist blades and zoom around the place, leaving after images. They're not that bad, they're just like any enemy that block a lot, just swap it out with dodging. Once they're dead, it cuts to the film footage of Obi-Wan discovering it was Anakin. I missed 2 secrets but filled the experience bar. I unlocked 3 concept art pieces and the size matters not challenge mission. Critical attacks, jump attacks, grapples and dash attacks get maxed out at 3 and the rest goes into area attacks. Time to confront Anakin in mission 16, A Friendship in Flames. It skips all scenes with Padme and goes straight into their confrontation. Anakin has no special skills as a boss, just the moves he has as a playable character. This is as good a time as any to point out that most of this game's soundtrack comes from episodes 1 and 2, as Revenge of the Sith score wasn't finished during development. So the beginning of this fight has Duel of the Fates playing instead of Battle of the Heroes. After cutting Anakin up a bit, Obi-Wan next tries to reason with him. Anakin instead force pushes him inside. One upside is I don't have to risk damage looking for secrets, the downside is that there are no health increases to fully heal me. A bit more fighting and we get the part where Anakin knocks Obi-Wan into the controls and turns the shields off. Obi-Wan then just decides to leave the room slowly and Anakin limps after him. This leads to the bridge outside. What makes this fight harder than others is the small amount of explosive stuff to throw in Anakin's face first. Obi-Wan kicks Anakin to another platform below where Obi-Wan basically tells him he wasn't ready to be a parent, but he won't give up on Anakin. Anakin responds by killing me in seconds. Next time I make it back to the 4th phase but get killed quickly again. Next time I make it back with more health. This part does have some explosive crates I can hit Anakin with, thankfully. A bit more damage and the fight progresses to a narrow bridge.
What's the matter, Anakin? Afraid? Stand down!
Yeah, provoke him and then tell him to behave. Good idea. After some more damage, the bridge collapses and we get the whole lava waterfall sequence leading to the little platform. This is the 6th and final phase and Obi-Wan seemingly drops dead of a heart attack in the middle of a combo. What happened? No checkpoints in this mission by the way. 4th try I die in the 5th phase. 5th try I do it, with the last attack that drains the last of his health being a kick in the mush. Obi-Wan takes that coveted geography that compares him superior and slices Anakin's limbs off. Doesn't even say anything to him, just takes his lightsaber and walks off in silence. Then we get the footage of Vader on the table rising, leaving out that gruesome burning alive part so you can still be shocked if you played this before seeing the film like I did. We also get to see Obi-Wan delivering Luke to the Lazars. Padme never appears in the game by the way so as not to spoil what happens to her. I unlock 2 Mustafa arenas for multiplayer and bring area attacks to level 3. The leftovers go into Force Heal. We then get the credits but as usual, I'm still not done. I'm not just talking about replaying missions for missing secrets and experience. I unlock mission 17, Revenge of the Sith. This is the boss fight I just did, but I'm instead playing as Anakin fighting Obi-Wan. It's a pretty cool what if, but I don't have anything else to say about the fight. It's the same, but I'm the one with Force Lightning. It takes like 10 tries, but I beat Obi-Wan with the Force Pull Juggle combo. Obi-Wan takes the high ground, but forgets the rest of his strategy and just stands there while Anakin lands behind him and stabs him through the chest. Anakin kicks his body into the lava and is greeted by Darth Sidious. He's all, good lad, and gives Anakin his first red lightsaber, which Anakin sheathes him with and declares the galaxy his true alone. The clones do nothing after watching this, but then again, would you want to be the first to try anything against the guy who killed your seeming invincible master? I unlock quite a bit from this. Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi for multiplayer, 2 more Mustafa arenas and the New Hope Death Star and Episode 4 Death Star challenge mission. No experience for this mission so I don't have to replay it. Now it's time to get those missing secrets and experience from the previous levels, starting with mission 1. The very first secret I don't know how I missed. After lifting the wreckage with Obi-Wan, there's a health upgrade just off to the right. I only get a little more experience though, which goes to Force Lightning. In Mission 2, after this force jump halfway through a level, I have to head forward a little and then back to find a saber crystal. Once again, only a little more experience that goes into force heal. At the beginning of Mission 3, there's a force increase in a hatch next to the lift door. The other secret is found by hanging in the top half of this lift as the first flying droids appear. It's a saber crystal. I don't get any new experience though. Have all the secrets in Missions 4 through 6 already, so it's 7 next. When you reach the crab droid at the end, head all the way to the front of the screen and smash some crates for a health increase. I also filled out the experience bar. Force heal reaches level 3 and I get working on force push next. On the left platform when dealing with the turrets in Mission 8, I throw my lightsaber into a blue thing above for a health increase. Then in the last area with the crab droid, destroy the blue vents on either side of the arena for a force upgrade. In Mission 10, destroy all computers in the third part of the level for a force upgrade. I also get a master fill kill on Windu to fill the experience bar. This maxes out force lightning, the rest goes into saber throw. In Mission 11, after using the first terminal guarded by Jedi brutes, I return to the previous room and to the entrance that got blocked off for another force upgrade. I also filled out the experience bar and put it into saber throw. In Mission 13, in the room with the ray shield before getting into the tank at the end, there's an explosive barrel hiding a health increase. I also filled the experience bar and put it into force push. In Mission 14, after I reach the cutscene where the Nemoidian guards block my path forward, I then have to backtrack the way I came for a saber crystal. After riding the magma lift upwards later on, I have to force push a box on the other side of the barrier into the cables to shut them off and let me reach a force increase. I also get that tiny bit of experience I missed, filling the bar. It goes into saber throw. All that's left for secrets is the final 2 in Mission 15. I missed the first secret again on replay. The other one I was missing is on the second floor of the archive. I have to lift up this object in front of the exit for a saber crystal. The final secret is across the first pillar at the beginning of the level. I have to destroy this one barrel here for a force increase. The level auto-progressed on both previous playthroughs before I could get it. Thing is, I then have to replay the entire rest of the level just to keep it. But that's Anakin's and Obi-Wan's health and force maxed out. Now for experience. It's just a case of getting enough combos and grapples in to build the bar up without getting hit. Just takes a lot of practice. I started with Mission 16 and getting a masterful kill on Anakin to fill out that bar. Force push is maxed out along with force grasp. The tiny bit remaining goes into force stun. A replay of Mission 1 only gets me a little more, inching saber throw even closer to being maxed without actually getting there. A second attempt gets the bar extremely close to being filled and saber throw finally maxed, the rest goes into force push. 3 more attempts gets me that tiny bit I was missing. I get quite a bit more from Mission 2 but still miss a little bit. Force stun is also almost filled but not quite. It takes me 2 more hours and many retries to get that last bit of experience. It's the exact amount needed to max force stun out. I replay Mission 3 but only get a little more experience. This and Mission 2 I found to be the hardest. I put this one aside after a couple more failed attempts and go to Mission 4. The thing to consider with Mission 4 is that Dooku isn't the only kill, there's also the super battle droids in the third phase. But I still struggle. For some reason Dooku is just the hardest boss in the game for me. So I try Mission 9, the fight with General Grievous instead. Now we reach one of the reasons these are bonus episodes, missing footage. Not so much missing as stuff I didn't record. Since I thought I was just doing reviews, I didn't think I would need all this extra footage of me failing to fill the experience bars. And since I was worried about space on my computer, I decided at that point to only hit record again after filling out Obi-Wan's experience bar on his last level, so the act of me filling the bars on Missions 4 and 9 were just simply not recorded. But here is Obi-Wan with his last bits of experience in Mission 9 maxing out his final skill, saber throw. Next I got that last bit of experience for Mission 3 and put it into force grasp. And then all that was left is Mission 6 for the last bits of experience to max out Anakin's force grasp. That's both characters fully maxed out, but there's still some bonuses I want to cover. There's a multiplayer mode where you get to pick any of the lightsaber wielding characters in the game, minus Yoda, but plus the bonus Darth Vader and Ben Kenobi. It's a bit like a boss fight, but instead it's 2 players mashing buttons hoping the other dies first. There's a couple neat touches for when both players pick the same character. Obi-Wan and Anakin have their robed and not robed versions already in the main game, but there's things like Ben Kenobi with his hood down and a green lightsaber, or Darth Vader with lighter armour and a blue lightsaber. There's also those bonus challenge missions. The first is the General's Protectors. Here I get to play as one of Grievous' bodyguards and face an endless wave of clone troopers until I die. It's a neat bonus, but I get why it isn't playable in the multiplayer. It's quite slow and lacks basic gameplay functions like jumping. Next is Grievous on the run. Here I'm Grievous facing an army of clones. This one isn't endless though, as after a while Obi-Wan will enter the fight. I then get to kill him. That's all. The game did forget to end the level after he died though, leaving Grievous just standing there waiting for me to reset the console. Third is Mustafa Lava Challenge. I play as Anakin and have to cross the moving platforms over lava while fighting droids and Nemoidians. I just have to reach the end and I'm done. Fourth is Size Matters Not. I play as Yoda fighting a few waves of clone troopers after splitting up from Obi-Wan during Mission 15. I get why Yoda isn't playable in multiplayer. He's so small most grabs would go over him. Now, I haven't played every game where Yoda is playable, but why is he so unfun in just about every game I have used him in? This, the first 2 LEGO Star Wars and Soul Calibur 4 just couldn't make all that flippy shit fun. He's always excruciatingly slow and even moving around tends to be a pain. I'm not asking for some Kingdom Hearts 2 stylishness, I just want to enjoy playing as Yoda. Finally, Episode 4 Death Star. I play as Darth Vader fighting old Obi-Wan. Not much to say here, you could do this in multiplayer. Vader does have Force Lightning here and can use it without frying his own life support. But yeah, that's it, I beat Obi-Wan and it goes into footage of his death. And that's Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. It's pretty fun, even if it does get a little tedious sometimes like other licensed hack and slash games of the time. It's nowhere near the best Star Wars game, but I do rate it above other movie licensed games I've done already like The Two Towers. Victory Celebration is better than Yub Nub.